So in the first radio gig ever that I got paid for was in the top of the Oak Park Arms Hotel.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, that's 5th floor, which I think is an old folks don't know. But anyway, so it is a pleasure, honestly, on a lot of levels to meet you because saw Bleacher Bums.
Yeah.
Saw Glengarry Glen Ross on Broadway.
Wow,
Saw you kick some ass there as well. And I'm telling you, first question, what are the Cubs' chances this year?
As good as they've been in the last couple hundred years, which means, who knows, 50-50. We're hoping this is the century, though. I think 21st century looks good. That's all I can say. That's as optimistic as I'm going to be.
How many take me out to the ball games have you done?
I've probably done about 4 or 5 of them. The best one I did, though, I did one about, I don't know, it must have been 7, 8 years ago now, if not more. And I did it throughout the first pitch that day, had the pitcher sign the ball, date the ball.
Right.
Sang the 7th inning stretch. It was the day that Kerry Wood struck out 20 guys.
Oh, man.
To tie the Major League record. Only 2 human beings have done it, him and Roger Clemens.
Right.
I have the baseball. And it's signed and dated by Kerry Wood. So, I mean, that arguably is a ball that could be in the Hall of Fame. I have it because I just happened to throw out the first pitch that day.
Wow.
So that was kind of cool.
Wow, yeah, that's a keepsake for
and thank God they won that day. So that's even that's even better.
Yeah, the old Tom Dreesen
line.
Well, the woman who brought her 9 kids to Wrigley Field, please report to home plate. They're beating the Cubs. You know?
Yes, exactly.
Or the other one, the great one I heard was the Royko line that the Cubs are like life itself, a losing proposition.
There you go.
But anyway, we'll get on to one last Chicago favorite. If you had to go for pizza there tonight, where would you go?
I'd go to my restaurant, Taste Chicago, here in Burbank. I'd fly back here.
There you go.
Yeah, we liked it. We liked the food there so much, we opened our own restaurant here. So we have this restaurant, Taste Chicago, in Burbank. But there's a lot of great places in Chicago.
They'll still get a little neighborhood joint with the thin crust.
Yeah, there's a million of them. I mean, Mr. Beef even, or they've got a place called Natalino's now that they opened. But I like all the Rosebuds. I like good. God, there's just
Giordano's down there.
Giordano's is good for pizza if you like the stuffed pizza. Uno's and Dewey's is still. Geno's is, it all still exists. They're all still there. All the great places.
Great place to be from. Now, listen, in your talk about your role here, you have never been a guy who has shied away from a murky, demanding, a kind of half-light, half-dark role. Huh?
No, if I shied away from that, I wouldn't have a career. That's what I like about this character. I mean, Rossi is, especially at my age now. I mean, there's plenty of room for backstory there. I mean, I've certainly lived long enough now that you can kind of say, well, he's done this, he's done that, he's been there, but done. They've had my character that I've been married 3 times already, and I'm not even saying I doubt if I'm really looking for a 4th. I think 3's the charm with me, there have been elements where we were able to find as we go along, little peeks behind the curtain as to what makes the wizards work, in a way. And with Rossi, you find out this guy's very successful. He had a whole career as a writer, as a lecturer, but decided to come back because, partly because I think he was just bored. He just wanted to do what he considers God's work, doing the right thing. He enjoys it. He likes living on the edge.
Well, kind of like your acting career. I mean, you are, obviously you've done it all from directing to movies to here, but to get it completely out of your blood would be impossible, huh? I
think so. I mean, I had the pleasure years ago to do a movie, Things Change. It was a David Mamet film with Don Amici. And Don Amici was just about 80 at the time. And he was at the top of his game. I mean, he was as great as I knew he would be. He just did a tremendous job on that film. And he had such a life and spirit about him. And he had thought he'd retired 30 years prior to that. He kind of thought Hollywood had kind of given up on him, and all of a sudden he got rediscovered. And now at that point, his career was as big as it had ever been. And it made you realize that, thank God I'm in that kind of a profession, unlike, let's say, a sports, where you kind of have a finite end.
A shelf life, yeah.
You have a shelf life. Here, who's to say? So long as you enjoy the process, which I do. I mean, the word retirement, it's not like in my vocabulary. I mean, I'll go as long as I feel that, as I'm wanted. You don't want to stay too long at the dance, but if they're still offering you, a spot to dance in, I'm in.
Well, and it's I mean, the show has got a ton of legs, and it's, as I've been saying to everybody, and believe me, this is kind of just one of the strange mixes of this show is that it's very light, the crew's very cool, but the subject matter is as dark as can be.
Yeah, but that's more often the case than you would think. I tend to find that, especially I've been doing this over 40 years now, and I tend to find that usually the darker the material, the darker the atmosphere in terms of the material of what you're doing, is almost counterpoint to the real atmosphere of the people around it. Because maybe it's subconscious. You kind of have to balance that out, because what we're doing, the subject matter can be so heavy and dark and serious that we kind of balance it out by those moments that, and most of the time is spent off camera. For 12, 16-hour day, which sometimes we work. If you add it all together, we're only shooting a few minutes of film. The rest of that time, we like to keep it, I played Dean Martin once, and I like to live that lifestyle. Nice and easy.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
There's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thanks for the time.
My pleasure.
Man. It's a guest.
Sure, my pleasure.